Alright, y'all. We're going to get started in just a couple more minutes. We're going to allow everybody just a few more minutes of time to make their way to the channel. I've already made another post. And hopefully we'll get a lot more people coming in tonight and we'll have us a pretty good little show. Five more minutes, y'all, then we're going to go ahead and get started. right, everybody. It's that time. Welcome to the first Q&A live stream of Texas Encounters and Mysterious Sightings. I'm your host, Lieutenant, and with always, if there's one of us, there's all of us. Thank you to all the moderators from the Doug Pack who are moderators for teams. And I just want to thank y'all enough for being moderators on this, as well as, if y'all don't know, I'm going to give you a little info. Texas Encounters and Mysterious Sightings, which what I like to call teams, is a Texas division of the Doug Pack. Okay, as y'all don't know who I am, I'm also a moderator for Marvin Allen and the Doug Pack. And what we are doing is trying to help Marvin out and get content from Texas out. Get as many encounters and eyewitnesses as we can to help Marvin and to help promote his channel so we all can be on top. You know, I often like to say, often imitate it, but never duplicate it. We are one of our own, and we're going to do what we do best. And that's get the information out. So, I had thought about asking in the chat, you know, what are we going to talk about? But I think I'm going to change that. I've already picked out a subject. And being that in Texas, we have a hot spot of Bigfoot encounters, I think that's going to be our subject for tonight. So, as a kid, I've always been interested in Bigfoot. I'm sure everybody here has as well, being that Bigfoot is probably one of the most popular cryptids of this era. I know the Dogman is creeping up. There has been some Dogman encounters here in Texas, which has been just wild, unbelievable. And like Marvin would say, stop thinking about the impossible and believe in the possible. And I believe that possible is happening right here in Texas with these Dogman encounters. But tonight we're going to focus on Bigfoot. So, one of my earliest memories of Bigfoot came from the legend of Boggy Creek. And I'm sure everybody here has heard of that cryptid right there at Texarkana in Falk, which is just a few minutes from Texarkana. Probably, with the exception of the Patty Gimlin footage, it's probably one of the most famous cryptids out there. So famous they made a movie about it, or kind of like a documentary about it, which in those days was just unheard of. Charles Pierce was the one who made that film, and he was just ahead of his time. Being in the 70s, it was just unreal with the budget they had. It was just unreal. He did it on a low budget and with a lot of people that he actually knew. They made this movie happen. And being in the 70s, you know, not a lot of people talked about it. And once it finally got out, it just blew the cryptid world by storm. I mean, there's still encounters of the Boggy Creek creature till this day. Now, in southeast Texas, which is where I'm from, we also have Bigfoot encounters. And about 2 counties over from where I live, there is a little bit of a famous cryptid, if anyone's ever heard of it, called Wildman of the Navidad, which has been spotted numerous times. It was also posted in the local newspaper, y'all. Local newspaper of this cryptid and the encounters that happened with this cryptid. Law enforcement got involved. Of course, I've read some of the encounters that happened with this, and law enforcement tried to play it off. Of course, we know how law enforcement is. And it's just amazing how these encounters happened, where they happened, and of course, over in that area, there's lots and lots of rivers and waterways. So what does that tell everybody? If you remember from the Legend of Boggy Creek, what was one of the first things said? He always travels the creeks. I believe that is true. So with my first question to y'all, what do y'all think of Bigfoot using waterways as a navigational tool? Hit that like button, y'all. Smash it. Let's get enough likes. We'll get a second episode going. What do y'all think of Bigfoot using waterways as a navigational tool? Hey, JJ's Cryptid. Glad you can make it. You were an awesome guest last night. I really enjoyed you coming on last night on Marvin's show. You were awesome. So what do y'all think of Bigfoot using waterways as a navigational tool? Throw me some questions or give me your ideas on that. I honestly think Bigfoots use waterways as navigational tools. So Lisa posted, I think waterways, power lines, and train tracks are all possible compasses for them. Water means life, though. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Where you have water, you have natural resource of course, water you can drink. You have fish and other wildlife who use that resource to drink. Deer, hogs. You know, everything's a resource for these cryptids. Dude put not just navigational tool, but water source as well for drinking. And yes, I'm sure they learn the streams well enough to know the area throughout. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the reason why I think they use waterways as a navigational tool, so I have recently got lots of evidence on my property. And where my property's at, in the woods, on the back side of my property, there is a little creek that flows through it. Now on the back side of the woods, about 100 yards from this creek, as soon as you exit the woods, there is a levee. And behind that levee is a huge reservoir that was used for a sulfur plant. And on the other side of that reservoir is a river. And that river stretches for, good Lord, I don't know how long, but it stretches a good ways, and it goes all the way to the coast. And there's been encounters of people around the area of my property 8 to 10 miles away, just about in either direction, that have had encounters with a hairy bipedal cryptid. And it's just crazy how they will follow these waterways and use them as a tool to come back where their main resource is. And that is my firm belief that especially Bigfoot, y'all. Bigfoot, I truly believe, follows the waterways. What is y'all opinion on that? I mean, does anybody else have any questions on that? Any comments on that? Does anybody have any questions or comments on what maybe Bigfoots may eat? Or any kind of patterns they may follow? If you haven't hit that like button, smash the like and subscribe, y'all. Oh Lord, my beautiful bride is on here telling me I smell bad. Yeah, that tells you I get boots on the ground and get into them woods a lot. Sad to say, she jumped in my truck the other day and she said it smelled terrible. But give me your thoughts on Bigfoot, y'all. Anything about Bigfoot. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are on Bigfoot. There's been, in my little area where my property is at, I've had actually some more people come forth and tell me some encounters that go back to the early 1980s. I posted one of those on my YouTube channel, which is episode 2. Also, episode 1 is an encounter from the same area. If you haven't checked those out, check them out. They are awesome. Alright, y'all. Lisa posts, is it totally possible that Bigfoot may migrate due to different animals' migration patterns? In my opinion, Lisa, I agree with that. I've had times where there have been no wildlife coming around my feeder. And the reason why I know this, y'all, I have a game camera set up near my feeder that sends pictures to my cell phone. How cool is that? So I can monitor this feeder with that game camera. So anything that walks anywhere near that game camera and it triggers it, I will get a picture on my phone. And so there are times where I won't get any pictures for about a week, and I'll go out to the property and it's just, I won't have no evidence. And then there'll be times where I got a couple of deer that'll be there one day, maybe 2, at most 3. They're never there very long. Of course, it's off season and I don't have the feeder going right now, but they know where the feeder's at. And those 3 days that they're there, I'll go out there during the day to go investigate, and I'll find footprints. You know, I've heard wood knocks. I've gotten whooped at setting up my trail camera. If that isn't amazing, we've heard growls. I mean, it's just awesome to get that evidence. And you know, I do believe that Bigfoot do follow the wildlife. So let's see what else we have in the chat. Dude from Texas, my man, I really believe they have been around for thousands of years, and for some reason I get a Native American vibe when it comes to Sasquatch. Dude, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They say back in the Native American days that some of each of these tribes, you know, whether it be the Cherokee, Navajo, just a few other tribes, I can't name them all, but they did have some connection with Bigfoot, you know, which of course a lot of people say too that it's quite possibility that a Bigfoot could be a skinwalker. That is also a possibility. You know, I know in Cherokee legend they had their own Bigfoot called the Sioux Kaloo. And they spoke of a Bigfoot who had these bright red eyes, and they believed this Bigfoot could read your thoughts. So it's very possible that these could be Native American in nature. Yes, Lisa, I agree. They are smart beings for sure. Very, very smart. They are absolutely intelligent. I do believe they are always watching whether you see them or not. They, like one person said, they are the king of hide and seek. If you happen to catch a glimpse, man, just take that as a blessing, even though I personally wouldn't want to see one out in the woods, whether it be day or night. because I mean psychologically, man, that can really mess with somebody's mind. A couple of encounters I've heard that were told to me from that area, the bipedal creature they seen, they're still haunted by it by till today, and you know they still have nightmares and have developed anxiety. So yeah, it's crazy how that can affect your mindset psychologically, mentally, physically, you know. So it's a gamble when you see these things. I think they coin they coin in and out of dimensions. Interesting. So what do y'all think of that? So Kay Bennett put, I think they coin in and out of dimensions. Do y'all think these Bigfoots use portals? I want to hear what y'all have to say about that. Lisa, that the Alba Witch is a dwarf version of Bigfoot. It has red eyes. What's an Alba Witch, Lisa? Can you kind of educate me on that? Dude, telepathically, absolutely, absolutely. I do believe some Bigfoots can read your mind and talk to you telepathically. I really do believe that. It was also mentioned in Cherokee legend that that they could do that. Okay, JJ's Cryptid. Hey, thank you for at least tuning in for a little bit. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, you were an awesome guest last night. I really loved listening to your encounter. And that accent, man, that accent is something else. Go ahead, get you some rest, and just subscribe. That way when we go live next time, you'll know when we go on, and you can jump on in. If you want to call in, you can do that too. But I really appreciate you coming out. So what do y'all think of the Bigfoot using portals, y'all? That's right, dude. Ninjas of the woods. Absolutely. Absolutely. Smash that like button, y'all. And subscribe. We're going to try and do something good and big here. Thanks, JJ Cryptid. I appreciate it. So Kay Bennett believes that they do. So what makes you believe that they do, Kay? Can you give us some info on that? I would love to hear your thoughts on why you think they do. And of course, everybody, you know, chime in at any time. If somebody has an encounter and wants to call in, we can also do that too. Lisa put, I am not sure if they use portals, but hey, weirder things have happened. Absolutely. What was that saying I said in the beginning? Stop believing in the impossible and believe in the possible. Quote Marvin Allen, y'all. I mean, I don't know. Okay, JJ's Cryptid. It'll be up tomorrow. I mean, I'm not too sure about the portals, y'all. I mean, granted, I know these things disappear really quick, but I know these things can run really fast. They are masters of camouflage. So I'm not too sure about the portals. I haven't heard a whole lot on it. But of course, everything's possible. Everything's possible with these cryptids. I mean, there's nothing that is impossible. You know, a lot of people thought these cryptids couldn't communicate. If anyone ever heard the Sierra Nevada sounds, man, it sounds like they're talking like possibly a Native American or maybe even a Japanese language. It just sounds like a different language, but these creatures were communicating. No one ever thought they would be able to do that. So the realm of them using portals is not out the possibility. Oh, absolutely, Lisa. We haven't even scratched the surface on what Bigfoot can and can't do. I know these creatures are amazing runners. I've also heard they're amazing swimmers. And we know that they can hide. They can hide. They can elude trail cameras. I had that happen just the other week. Caught evidence of a hand on trail camera. And I set up trail cameras up the trail where it would have come to get even close to the trail camera that caught it. Set up trail cameras around it. And it absolutely eluded it. It knows that they're there. So if y'all don't know Alyssa Gamble, that's my little sister. And if y'all seen Kelly Lara up there, that's my bride, y'all. That's my beautiful bride. She supports me in all this, and I can't thank her enough. My sister too. They just been so supportive. So she put, I've been in contact with something not human, and you're correct. I saw an orb at the time I came into contact with this creature. I don't think you told me that story, sis. I think you might have something you might be keeping from me here. We may have to get you to call in and go live with that. What do y'all think, y'all? Should she call in and go live? If y'all think so, post a 1. Absolutely do. Shout out to Marvin Allen. Without Marvin Allen, this wouldn't be possible. He is the father of the Doug Pack and the Texas Division, y'all. We're doing this for Marvin, to help Marvin. Oh, I don't know if I know that one, sis. I may have to call you later and get it. It may be a different one. Lisa, Boggy Creek is on Amazon Prime. I know because I bought it. Oh, looky here. We're getting some ones, y'all. We're getting some wood. Should she call in and come on live? What do y'all think? Post a 1. Post a 1, y'all. If y'all want to hear it, come on, post a 1. She's got some good shadow men encounters too. Very good. We had a household that we lived in for years and years, and it was pretty haunted. But like I said, the subject tonight's Bigfoot, but if someone wants to come on and talk about somebody else, absolutely. Alright, sis, you're getting a whole bunch of 1s. Do you want to call in? If you want to call in, let me set up my phone real quick. We'll have you call in. I'm sure everybody wants to hear your story. Hey, I appreciate that, Lisa. I'm enjoying being the host tonight. I mean, it's just awesome. I just wish our alpha was here. All right, sis. Let me set up my phone real quick, and then I'll let you call in, and we'll get this party started. All right, sis. If you want to call in, go ahead. All right, sis. Go ahead and call in. Give my phone a ring. Let's get this party started. I think maybe she may have to walk outside. Oh, here we go. Oh, hold on, y'all. My iPad likes to act a little junky sometimes. All right, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Can y'all hear? Post a 1 if y'all can hear. Say something. Say something, sis.
I'm here.
Can y'all hear? Post a 1 if y'all can hear. If y'all can hear, post a 1, y'all. Say something. Hey, say something again.
It's nice to hear from everybody. Post a 1 if you can hear me.
Post a 1 if y'all can hear. Kay Bennett, post a 1. Come on, y'all. Post a 1 if y'all can hear. Just waiting to see if everyone's going to post a 1 or not. Lisa, dude, can y'all hear? How's the audio? All right, we got all 1s. All right, y'all. So, this is my little sister, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and let her share her encounter. And without further ado, sis, the floor is all yours. You have the mic.
All right, appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. So I thought my brother knew. I thought you knew about this encounter, big brother, but maybe you don't. But
you may be holding back.
Well, I was 16 at the time. Again, I used to work at the golf course in the same area where my brother has his property. And I know y'all are probably thinking, wow, this area is like a hot spot. It is a lack of a better word, creepy area. So many encounters, so many people that I know of who have had similar situations, but I remember being 16, working there. It was my first real job, excited about it. But when the sun goes down in that area, it is a different kind of world. You tend to get these bad feelings of something watching you or something, just not normal is the best way to describe it. But again, 16 years old, first job, and I had the duty of, finally getting the responsibility of closing down the golf course, and they trusted me, told me, hey, you can close it down, you don't need any help, this and that. Well, I'm a golfer myself, so I closed it down a little early, decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get as many holes in as I can, before I go home, because in high school, I was still in high school at the time. I was on the golf team. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to play golf till I can't see the ball no more. So I'm out there playing golf, and as you come around number 5 hole, there's a 9-hole golf course. I was on number 5 hole, and as you come around, there's number 6 hole, which is a par 3, and if y'all aren't golfers, it's a short hole. In that area, it was already fixing to be dark. Like I said, I could probably play that last hole, and then I would have to call it a night. Well, there is a restroom in the middle of that golf course, just a little bitty shack where there's a toilet and a sink, and it's off to, the back of the golf course. If someone needs a potty break, they go and they, use the restroom and keep on trucking. Well, in order to get to that hole, you have to come around the back side of that restroom. And I was on the golf cart, so I'm coming around again. It's still not somewhat daylight, not much. You can see off in the distance, but not by much. So I'm coming around, getting ready to go on this last hole, and all of a sudden I look to my right, just, randomly looking to my right, and I just see something pop up. Well, the person that lives on the other side of the fence of the golf course has cows. I'm thinking, oh, it's probably a little calf or something, because I hear it rustling in the leaves. So I don't think nothing of it, and I go to the tee box, getting ready to hit my ball, and as I'm looking down, I'm right-handed, and the hole is off to my left. So if I'm right-handed, I'm looking down, and I'm facing where that little noise was coming from. So I'm looking down at my ball. All of a sudden, I hear it again. I look up, and something starts jumping. And it's jumping, but it's jumping away from me. It's like, instead of running, it's jumping and leaping at the same time. And I'm thinking, man, it's still starting to get darker and darker. And I just stop, and I'm looking, and it stops, turns around, and then it starts jumping towards me again. Like, okay, I seen you, you seen me, let's meet. So it starts jumping towards me like a leap, almost like a kangaroo. And I freak out because, again, I'm by myself. I'm 16. I don't know what it is. I get on that golf cart and I hightail it. Well, then I look back behind me as I'm on the cart path, and I see this creature leaping towards my golf cart, chasing after me. And I'm thinking, what is that? Well, where I was and where the pro shop is, there is a deep ditch. And when I tell you that ditch is deep, it's deep. If you get a golf cart through it, you're lucky if you're going to come out of it. Well, I panic. I'm got my foot to the floor with that pedal, and I'm trucking it because all I keep doing is looking behind me. And it just keeps leaping towards me. And it's not like a dog, but it almost as if it had some type of horns attached to it. That much I could make out.
Wow. Yeah, you didn't tell me this.
So I'm sitting here, or I'm, again, 16 years old, about to pee my pants, because I'm like, what am I seeing? What am I looking at? It's chasing after me. I go down in that ditch. I can't get out of it. The golf cart just bogs down, and it's still running after me. And I'm like, nope. So I get up out of the cart. I don't even try to attempt to move it. And I start running. But I still had my 7-iron in my hand. I remember what golf club I had in my hand. And I had my 7-iron in my hand. And I'm thinking, well, if it's coming after me, this is all I've got. This is all I have to protect myself. I'm just going to start swinging. Well, I managed to make it halfway across number 3 fairway, which is right next to the pro shop. I made it halfway, and I turn around, bearing myself down, ready to fight with this club. I turn around, it's gone.
Wow.
Nowhere to be found. And I'm thinking, we're talking maybe 5 seconds. I'm running, and then I turn around, getting ready to just fight for my life. And it's gone. completely disappeared. So that was my very first encounter. Now, I've had multiple encounters working out there. So have my coworkers. So has my supervisor who actually lives out there, who refuses to go out at night. Um, to this day, you can ask him. He will not go out if there's an issue or whatever. He will not go out towards the back of the community, I guess you would call it, because of his encounters with what he's dealt with. I mean, everyone who has worked there, down to the groundskeeper, they have all had their own separate encounters. And I remember talking to, God rest his soul, he is no longer alive, but he was an older gentleman, and he was kind of like the groundskeeper, like the supervisor of the groundskeepers. And I had told him about what had happened, and he looked at me as if he seen a ghost and said, I understand, and this isn't going to be the last time you see it. But just know it's not going to hurt you. Just next time, keep going. Don't stop.
Wow. Yeah, that's really, really creepy, especially me knowing the layout of that golf course, y'all. Because around this golf course, like she said, were that hole number 6 and hole number 7. There's no woods. It's cow pasture. There's barbed wire fence, and it's cow pasture. And when you get to number 8, there's like a thin line of trees that goes to what we call the administration house, that was built like in the 30s or 40s for the sulfur plant. That's where the administrator of the sulfur plant lived. And of course, I've heard that house reported to be haunted, but around that golf course, with the exception of the number 9 fairway that's on the outskirts road, that's where all the houses, when you start going back toward my property, and it's all lots and trees, and there was lots of houses back in the day. So you can just imagine this thing disappearing in 5 seconds in that open area. That's got to raise some eyebrows, because does that bring in the portals again?
Right.
So did you get a good look at this creature?
When I turned around, and it was like I said, it didn't have a run to it. It had like a leap, like a kangaroo hop almost. But it was more of I can't really explain it. It's like it had more of a digging towards you. Like it would dig its front towards you and then hop as far as it could go. But it wasn't fast. Unless it just knew I was slow. I don't know, but it wasn't fast, but it was huge. And when I looked back, you see this shape of its head, because the head is so much bigger than the body. And then you're thinking, what is that? But it's like these long horns, not like antlers, not like, like a, what are those things? Like, I'm not going to say a goat, but you know what I mean? Not like one of those, but like a curved, big, almost like the whole devil.
Like a ram?
Yes, like a ram.
Wow.
But bigger. So its head was so misshapen. It wasn't like an animal.
So if you had to estimate, and I'm sure with adrenaline flowing and maybe that fear factor sitting in, if you had to guess a height on this creature, how tall do you think this creature was?
It was probably around 6 foot.
6 foot?
It was hard to tell again because it was, it was getting dark. But what really did it was the body wasn't so much big in size. It was the up, like from the chest up was huge, but it was like its lower extremities were so puny that, you know what I mean? Like it was so misshapen.
Right. So did
Yeah, hey, maybe goat man. Sound, kind of to describe it, or maybe goat man.
wow, and it's interesting that y'all say that because as a kid, my dad used to tell me back behind the reservoir where that
Yep.
river is, there's like a little pump station because there's a dam, right? There's a little dam right there, and the river flows down. It makes a pond, and the river continues. And my dad used to tell me, and he would say it jokingly, yeah, your uncle and one of his friends went back there and they seen the goat man. And, as a kid, oh man, there's a goat man back there. But, as an adult, I'm like, man, I don't know. Especially, you don't hear nothing of the sort in Southeast Texas like that. You hear more of the Bigfoot type creature. But, now hearing this encounter, which she has never told me, this is the first I've ever heard this encounter. And just hearing that, I'm like, is that why my dad won't go into them woods at night? Because remember, y'all, if y'all ever heard me on Marvin's channel, my dad, he went into them woods on our property once at night by himself, and he won't go back there again at night. Just recently, when my son caught evidence out there the other night, it was 4 of us out there, and we went back there, and we were well armed, and he went into the woods, but he didn't go without going armed. And that to me, I don't know, that's kind of raising questions with me. Maybe he's seen this thing, or maybe it is true that this thing is out there. So I mean that's unbelievable, y'all, because that's answering more of my questions I have, especially about that subject being brought up as a kid. Maybe it's true. Now, when you had that encounter, did you see any kind of eye color, any kind of other defining attributes on this creature?
No eye color.
No eye color. Okay.
Completely just, and it wasn't like a shadow or anything. This was a physical, you could see it. But, I mean, you could see the eyes and everything, but the eyes were just black, But right. I think it was just the fact that it was coming after me, like it, not out of curiosity, but almost like I felt like it was out to get me. Like, wow. Hey, seen me, I gotta come after you. You know what I mean? It was minding its own business, and I was minding my own business, but then I got curious. And I just stopped and looked, and again, me and you have played that golf course many years.
Right.
And where that cart path is, because I was playing from the back tees, where that golf cart path is, that cart is right there by that fence line.
Wow.
So I came within about, say, 15 feet of it, because I had to get in the cart.
Wow, that's close. That's close. Yeah. Now, with you being that close, were there any kind of discerning smells, like any kind of like rotten meat smells?
No, I mean, no more than what it usually is out there. Again, being that it's by a cow pasture, you just smell that type of smell. But no, I didn't smell any type of bad smells or anything like that. But again, at that moment, I was just ready to get out of there,
Wow, that is creepy. That is creepy. Do y'all have any questions for her, y'all? Anything you would like to ask? Of course, anonymity, I can't even say that word, but y'all know what I mean. Of course, is our concern. We will not disclose location or any other information. But if you would like to ask any questions on this creature, feel free to go ahead and pop them up in the chat. Like I said, we will read every question you put up there. If you have a question and we're in the conversation and it gets missed, please repost it. We will absolutely 100% answer your question before anything else goes on. So dude from Texas, that's my brother right there. Dude from Texas asked, tail or no tail? Did you see a tail?
No, I did not see a tail.
Wow, that's crazy. So did you get a good look at possibly the feet? Was it hooves? Did you see like a foot with toes? Maybe like a three-toed print with claws?
Its upper body was so big. Like I said, the back was so puny, almost like a dog, without a tail. But the front was, it's like you could, almost as if you couldn't see its back end. You could only see its front. And I could only see the back when he would hop up, or when it would hop up. And the front, like I said, it's front, it's almost like it had claws for the front. Like it would dig. And believe it or not, the next day I went out there after school and they were having a scramble. And I went out there to, check the bathroom, make sure there was toilet paper and stuff. And I looked and you could still see where it dug.
Wow. So where it dug, was there any, like, did you see like 3 claw marks, maybe 4? Was it a hoof type dig, like, kind of like how a cow would make an impression when it gets into the mud?
No, it was, you couldn't see any claw mark. It dug so deep. It's hard to explain. There weren't any claw marks. It's almost like a shovel, just deep.
Wow. So dude from Texas posted another question. Of course, he's up around where the true goat man has really been sighted, up around the Fort Worth area. And he just put, did you see a snout, maybe some teeth? And if you did, do you have like a snout size and possibly a teeth description?
I didn't see any teeth. As far as the snout, I mean, you could make out it was real wide. Its head was so disfigured. It was almost square-like. It was weird. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like an animal. It wasn't like a cow or anything like that. It was like real defined, like squared off.
Mm-hmm. Was this creature, and I don't know if anyone asked this, forgive me y'all if I repeat myself, but was this creature bipedal when you seen it? Was it on 2 legs?
I only saw it like coming after me. It would just hop. It never just stood up. You know what I mean?
So was there at any point where you seen the arms hit the ground at all while it was hopping?
Yes.
So it never stood up and went bipedal?
No.
What was the color on this creature? Did you see a color? Did it have like fur, or maybe was it just skin?
It was just skin. It was, I would say, a grayish color.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard of, any kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, dude from Texas, but I don't think I've ever heard of a goat man having grayish skin. I may be wrong, but that sounds really odd. And I know maybe the environment plays a lot of a good factor into that, because of course, y'all, around there's an old sulfur plant. There's sulfur everywhere. I mean, train cars used to carry that stuff in and out through there. There was train tracks that paralleled the road that went right next to the golf course. So, so that, I mean, that could have played a factor into that. Is there anything else that you can tell us about this creature? Did it growl? Did it make any noises?
No, it didn't. Noises. Um, you could hear it breathing.
Oh wow.
Almost like a bull. But no growls. It's crazy because I worked there for almost 2 years, and I would tell people about my encounter and everything like that, and there's men that would go out there that had lived out there for 50 years, and they believed me. They were like, yep, when we were little, we used to see something like that, and this, and that. And they would sit there and say it's all sorts of things. But they've all said the same thing. Just mind your business and just keep going. It's almost like they didn't want to speak of it. Like they knew what I saw. They knew the story behind it, but it was, don't speak of it. Just keep going. It's crazy in that area how many encounters and how many stories I've heard over the years working there, that I feel like that area is tied to something bigger than what people are saying.
Absolutely. And I myself believe that. I mean, just with the evidence I've gotten since we bought that property,
Right.
and especially now that deer season's over, and like I was telling Lisa earlier when I was doing the test run for the live stream, um, that of course at the sulfur plant, y'all, there was a generator station that put out electricity, kind of like a little miniature plant next to the sulfur plant. And up until 2 months ago, it was operational, but they shut it down because it needed so much maintenance, and the maintenance cost was too high for how much electricity that generation station put out. So they shut it down. And it seems like after they shut that generation station down, the activity on the property just intensified like nobody's business. It's like every day I was out there, there was some new evidence every day. And of course, I was going out there 3 and 4 times a week, and I've kind of cut back to maybe once or twice now that deer season's over. But when I do go out there, I mean, it's just something different every day.
Yeah.
My cousin, like I said, I caught him on trail camera the other night. I thought somebody was poaching. I had to text my dad, who's that on the trail camera? Who the hell's out there? And he goes, oh, your cousin went back to the reservoir fishing. This is 10 at night, y'all. And he traveled through the same woods where I'm getting this evidence, and he went back there to go fishing, and he was unarmed. And I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I plan on doing that when next time I go down there, to see if he heard anything or seen anything. And it would really be crazy to hear him say, no, I didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. It was everything was pretty quiet. And that would make me to believe, if I'm going out there now, are these creatures tied to me somehow? Because there's also been information put out, maybe these creatures are attracted to a specific blood type, or it's just crazy how all this is coming about like that. You're right, Mary. Some people are afraid to talk about it because they don't want it to manifest. That's absolutely true. And maybe that's why it manifests when I go out there, because maybe it knows I'm trying to catch evidence, or catch a glimpse of it. That's a good possibility.
I mean, y'all can ask my brother. To this day, when I go out there, I never get an easy feeling.
Thank you for joining in, Mary. I'm sorry for interrupting. Thank you for joining in, Mary. I appreciate you coming on in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But just the other night when you called and said, "Hey, I'm at the property. Why don't you come out and hang out, see, walk around, do this, do that." I was gonna do it, but then something told me, man, I can't. I'm a scaredy cat still, because I've had one-on-one encounters there. I've seen things that people haven't seen. Being out there by myself and unarmed, or just alone, and I couldn't bring myself to do it.
And y'all, that was the same night that I got my biggest evidence I've gotten so far. And I don't think I told you about this, sis, but the other night, me and my son were near them woods, and we did some tree knocks about 10 o'clock at night, and we heard something heavy walking toward us. After the first set of knocks, we heard what sounded like a branch being peeled off a tree. I mean, it was loud. And of course, I tried recording video on my phone. Something knocked out my audio. Man, we had to back out. I mean, we heard some crazy stuff. I seen a set of eyes high off the ground that night. It was crazy. And that was that same night I called her.
Yeah.
So dude from Texas posted something interesting. He said, what if these creatures show up like every few years, kind of like the movie Jeepers Creepers, or are they around all the time? That's an interesting question.
When I would speak of it back then, when I would tell, all the old guys that would come out there and have their morning coffee and stuff, and, just chit chatting, tell them, man, I told them, look, you're never going to believe what I saw last night. And they all just looked at each other, and just seriousness in their face, and just whatever you do, don't go after it. Don't do this. Don't do that. Almost as if it was a legend there that they just don't speak of, or they choose. Hey, oh my gosh, has it come back? Or it was almost like the blood came out of their face. It really flipped them out, and I'm oblivious to what's going on.
Right. And what's sad is, I know a lot of these old timers she's talking about, because I played golf with them, and I know most of them now have passed on. Which, had I known then what I know now, man, that just would have been some great interviews to conduct. I mean, I'm sure these guys had a lot of stuff to tell. That's just amazing.
Yeah. So, no, you're right. Yeah, they knew more than what they were willing to share. I think it's because I was maybe very young, and again, I was 16. They didn't want to scare the life out of me, or they even said, we like you here. We're not going to scare you. So, I do believe there were things that they kept or wanted to share, or not even that. They just were too scared to even bring it up.
Right. Wow, that's creepy. Lisa posted, please ask him if he felt anything or saw something. Oh, Lisa, absolutely, I am. Next time I go down there, I'm going to get with my cousin and see. I know he goes out in the woods all the time, not particularly on my property, but I know he's a country boy just like me, loves to hunt and fish, so I know he's out and around. I will definitely ask him. And her second question was, creatures pick their favorite people because they find us interesting, kind of like we are their TV show. And that's true. I mean, there's, and it could be a personality thing, maybe they see someone with a high-spirited personality like myself, and me going out there just walking around just interests them. I mean, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Maybe it's the smell we put off. You know, it could be anything, anything. That's a very good question, Lisa. Very good question. Any other questions, y'all? Fire away, fire away. So I know, and I kind of mentioned this on Marvin's show when I first came on, but I remember you telling me about an encounter you had at the cart barn
Yes.
at night, and you said this was some sort of like lizard creature.
Yes.
Did it resemble anything what you saw from the encounter you just told us?
Uh, Actually, no. This one, it had red eyes, and this one stood bipedal. It was straight up, had a tail. Um, it never ran after me, but oh man, it was that was, to me, that was the scariest feeling I've ever had in my life, because the way it was just standing there, and the way it was just staring at me, and this was about 8 months after that first encounter I had. I mean, right then and there, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to attempt to investigate or attempt to find out what this is. I just literally stopped the carts dead in their track, because again, you got to pin them together like a train. They all click together, and right. I had about almost 10 carts tagged together, and I just stopped, got out, got in my car, and left, because I had already locked up the pro shop. The last thing you do is you take the carts to the cart barn, and then you get in your car and call it a day. I just looked over and I was like, nope, not even gonna go there with that, because by then I had already been working there almost a year, and heard the stories and everything, and I just just this bad feeling came over me.
Like a feeling of dread?
Do what?
Like a feeling of dread?
Yes.
And you didn't have that with the first encounter you just told, right?
Right.
Wow.
That one was more, why is this thing chasing after me? What is that? Is it an animal? Is it a creature? What is that? I'm just gonna, that I was willing to defend myself, but this other creature that I came into contact with, it almost like it sucked the life out of me.
Wow.
It like I knew that would have harmed me. That would have done something bad to me had I not reacted the way I did. And I got in my car and I never looked back that night. I even called my boss and told him, hey, the carts are on the road. Sorry, but I don't mess with the boogeyman. I said
Right.
it just like that. I don't mess with the boogeyman. You can go put the carts up. And he did. And he understood. He was like, hey, I get it. Dead of night. It was maybe 8:00 at night. It was already pitch black dark. And he was like, nope, you're by yourself. Again, I was just about to be 17. I was like, I can't, I'm going home. And, I think that's the main thing is the people around there who lived around there or who worked out there or played out there, they all understood, and they believed me. They were like, no, we believe you. You're not crazy. And it's a crazy feeling, man. But I know that particular encounter, man, fear isn't even a word to explain it. It was sheer terror, where you get in your car and you just pray to that point. I don't. I remember I called a friend of mine that morning that I went to high school with, and told her I'm not even going to school today. Like, I was even
Really?
scared to my house.
Really?
That's fear I had.
That is like the term I like to use. That's your whole body was just overcome with fear, and
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. That is truly amazing. Now,
Yes, from Texas, it's almost demonic. That's almost like what it felt. It felt almost demonic. Like I was staring at the face of a demon, almost just a straight up, just something about it was not right. It wasn't right. And when I tell you I about peed my pants, but I kept my composure. I wasn't but maybe 20 feet from my car. I just stopped the golf carts, ran to my car, shut the door because I had my keys with me, and I turned on my black car and I hightailed it out of there. And I didn't think to look in my rearview mirror. I kept my eyes forward and literally said the Lord's Prayer, and then called my boss and said, I can't, hey, carts are out there, don't fire me. But this is, I'm not even gonna, I couldn't even tell him what I saw. I'm just like, I'm freaked out right now. I was shaking. He could tell in my voice. He's like, hey, go home. Don't worry about it. We'll see you in a couple days. And, it just, that feeling of that wasn't right. That wasn't right. But yeah, I think that was my most terrifying encounter I've ever dealt with.
yeah, that sounds pretty terrifying, and I'm really glad that you made it home safe. I mean, that it's just wow, and of course that's a mere 6-7 blocks from where my dad lives now.
Yeah.
Wow. So here's I'm gonna say this is not $1 million question, but I'm gonna say this is about $1,000 question. So the time of day from your first encounter you just told, and the time of day from what you just told us a while ago from this encounter, was it around the same time of day?
No. So the first encounter happened, I would say it was around dusk. You know what I mean? I mean, you've been out there before.
Right.
And to explain it to you, because you would know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a guy that would always go out there and play till he couldn't play no more. He was out there, and then he had left.
Oh, so it was completely dark then.
It was almost completely dark. I remember I was on the tee box as his car was driving off. And then, bam, it happened, But it wasn't so dark to where I couldn't see the cart path or, I probably couldn't even finish out the hole. I was probably going to hit off the tee box and call it a night.
Right.
Just to get the feel of whether or not I hit it right or not. But it was to that point. Now, the second encounter, it was completely dark. Nobody was out there. Again, at night in that area, there are no lights. There's only one light, and that's on the pro shop porch, and it beams out to the parking lot, which is a circle parking lot. But that's the only light. And there's no street lights. There's no lights at the cart barn. Nothing. When I, you know how it was because you've put up carts for me before.
Mm-hmm.
And when and it was the first before they started putting the carts at the big cart barn across the driving range. That was before they did that. They used to have these old rickety shacks off to the number 9 hole, and we would have to put the carts in there, and the only light that was there was on the inside, and you had to turn it on, and you couldn't keep it on because that was a fire hazard. Those shacks were so old. So you would have to turn it on, put the carts in, plug them in, and then boom, turn it off, lock it with a little padlock, and call it a night. But it, again, though, back then there was no light. And I could see this creature, dead of night, what it looked like. I mean, it was like darker than night. It was, oh man, it was scary. It was scary. I mean, sheer fear out of seeing that. And I honestly never want to see it again.
So can you give any type of description of this creature? I mean, I know it was dark. Of course, we know.
No, I see the creature clear as day. Even though it was dark.
Oh wow!
It
really?
Stood out. It didn't have fur. It was almost like it was scaly. It had a tail. It had a tongue. I mean, its eyes were almost like a snake, but big, but huge. And like I said, it almost like a whole lizard, but human form, I guess you would call it. It was huge. It had to have been all of 6 foot.
Was there any discerning eye shine, eye glow, eye color?
Yeah, it was red.
Red?
They were red. Yeah.
Oh wow! Did you see
But
any type of horns? I know I've asked you these questions before, but I've gone through so many encounters and been on so many shows that I forget.
no, it didn't have horns, but it had some type of ear. It had ears. Almost like pointy like.
Wow. Dude from Texas, Lisa, did y'all hear that? Pointed ears. Now, okay, this just excited me now. Was there any type of snout?
No. No snout. No snout, but it didn't stick out. Like I said, almost like a snake.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I don't.
And the reason I knew it had a tongue was when I was staring at it, literally saw something just come out of its mouth. And I would say from its mouth to an average person's belly button. It came out, wiggled around, and then went back in. Creepy, man. It's creepy.
Wow. So I know you've had that encounter, and I know, and of course, y'all. I mean, this is my sister. We do talk, and I know of this, and I believe it's of this same creature. There was a second encounter. Am I right?
Which one?
Of the creature you just talked about now.
A second one? Yes. But this time I was with someone.
There were eyewitnesses, y'all.
Yeah.
Eyewitnesses. All right, go ahead with that.
Okay, so this one to me wasn't the same one, but it was, I guess, in relation to it. Because me and this girl, we were best friends. At the time, she was married to my boss. And she liked to walk around, I would say, the small town. Because, again, there were roads and stuff like that from where the houses used to be. And she would, I was closing up, and she had heard about all my encounters and everything like that. And she would come and check on me, or she would exercise and walk around making her laps. And I think it was just her being motherly, just trying to, um, make sure I was okay. Because I remember telling my old boss that I just don't like closing at night. I don't, I prefer someone being there with me. But she was walking, and then all of a sudden I'm closing up the shop, and I could see her walking because I could see the reflection of her shoes.
Right.
And she, all of a sudden, I look over to number 9 hole where the old cart, shacks are. Mm-hmm. And there I see these shoes they're just going. You could tell she's running. And I'm thinking to myself, what is she running from? What's going on? And then I look back and I see that exact same figure walking towards her. Wasn't running, it was walking, but it was like giant, almost like for every 5 steps I took, it took 1.
Wow. So this second creature had to be considerably larger than the first one.
Yes, it was larger.
About how tall do you think, or does she think it was? I know she talked to you about it and told you.
Yeah, it was. I would say it was probably about a foot taller than the other one.
7 feet, y'all.
It still had a tail. It still, like, the way she described it was almost on point to how I described mine. Mm-hmm. But the only difference is like it didn't have the red eyes. She said the eyes were black and hollow. But oh man, to this day, I remember telling her about I spoke to her just the other day and was telling her about your channel that you were starting up, and Marvin's and everything, and how interesting, and she was like, are you going to speak of what we saw? And I was like, well, maybe. And she's like, I don't know if I can bring myself to even talk about it anymore.
Wow. So it still haunts her.
It still haunts her.
Wow.
She stopped walking after that.
I remember that. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
She did. Yep. Now, dude from Texas asked another interesting question. So did it have the pointed ears with no snout?
Yes. Had the pointed ears, no snout.
Wow. And this one was a foot taller, y'all. That's amazing. And that was how far apart from the encounters?
Within about 4 weeks, about a month.
Wow. That is terrifying. I mean, that is so much evidence and encounters just from this place. It is truly amazing, y'all. And
and they said it, believe it or not, I feel like things slowed down after they tore down the old clubhouse. Now, not the one that they recently torn down, but the one off in the distance by the general's house. You remember that one?
Yes, that's in. Matter of fact, y'all, if y'all watch my second episode on my channel, that clubhouse was probably about 2 blocks from where the lady had that encounter of the creature on all 4s walking toward her house. Just mere blocks. And in that area, there is a patch of woods, and on the other side of that patch of woods is a big field. So yeah, that and in that area, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, that corner of the town is the most dreadful, darkest place, including my property around there. It's just something about that corner. It's just it you feel so heavy when you even when you drive by there. It's like, man, something's watching me, or something's gonna walk out in front of me. I know it. Mm-hmm. And listen to this, y'all. when you get to that corner lot, you make a left to go back to the main road, and then you take a right to go back out, like I've told y'all before on Marvin's channel, to go back toward my uncle's house. Now, if you were to go straight, not make a left, go straight through that field, I'm going to tell you probably about maybe, and this is maybe a quarter mile, maybe not even that far, there is a cemetery. There is an old cemetery right there next to a gravel road. And I have heard people talk about that cemetery for years and years, saying that it's just creepy and that there's times at night where you can drive by it and the only fog you'll see will be inside that cemetery.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of stories, you know, a lot of stories dating back, you know, that used to be a thriving town, and from one day to the next, it was empty.
Yes.
You know,
this,
how one day there was sulfur, the next day there wasn't.
Yes, and like I told everybody that tuned in to Marvin's channel, you know, this was a sulfur town, y'all. It was a company town. That's why this town was built, for the sulfur plant. Mm-hmm. This place was the largest sulfur mine in the world. In the world. And they had so many, it's like every lot. And there was a whole bunch of, there was like over 300 houses in this town, and this town's not very big. And everybody from that worked at the company lived there, and I mean it thrived for years. And then all of a sudden in 1993, boom, it shut down. And if you were, and I know part of the sulfur plant has been torn down. The owner of all that property out there, he tore some of it down. But they said when you walked in this sulfur plant and went into the offices, it's like everybody just got up and just left, like post haste. Like there were still files on the table, books were open. I mean,
I've seen it firsthand. I've been in that plant. I've been in those smokestacks, walked inside of them. I mean, it's real amazing the type of things you see out there. But yeah, I mean, I feel the phenomenon or whatever's going on out there is tied into why they say that they would never run out of sulfur for hundreds of years, and then from one day to the next, and then the sink, and then, you know, just bad things happening one after another out there. Yes. And it all happened at one time, you know, all within a certain time period. And then it goes stagnant after everyone moves out. And then people are starting to move back in and build and buy property and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, it's starting to pick back up. It's starting to, it's almost like whatever's out there is like, okay, here we go again. You know, I don't think that particular spot was meant to be lived on. And
you know, that could be very well the point. You know, as I told everybody, you know, this town, and I just found this out recently, that this town was built on an Indian burial ground. And there was only one tribe of Indians in southeast Texas back in the 1800s, and of course that was the Karankawa Indians. And when I did research on these Indians, I did 3 hours of research laying in bed on my iPad, y'all, a day before I had to go to work. And what I found out was truly, truly amazing. They said these Indians were above average in height. Okay, these Native Americans, I'm sorry for using Indians, we'll say Native Americans, were above average in height. And their average height was anywhere, and this is average, y'all, average, 6'1" to 6'2". Now, here's the kicker. They were the only tribe of Native Americans that kept wolves in their tribe. And what I mean they kept wolves is they had wolves like you and I and everybody else have dogs. And these wolves would go everywhere with these Native Americans. You know, they would train these wolves to hunt, to do all these hunting capabilities. It was just it when I seen that and some of the encounters I've heard in this town, and then some of the evidence that I recently got, dude, it just triggered in my head, especially after the evidence that Marvin and I seen, and I know some of the other moderators seen it. Being that I know on the property there's a Bigfoot, but with the recent evidence and then researching that, could there possibly be a dog man?
I think so.
I mean, there's just all these encounters that are just flowing in. People that are starting to come forward that lived in this town, and all these different cryptids. And then the evidence I got, the evidence I got is just phenomenal, phenomenal. I mean, just, you know, the hand in the trail camera, you can obviously see what it is, and then the shadow next to it with pointed ears. Lisa, dude, you know what I'm thinking. I know what you're thinking. That's a dog, man. And, you know, like I said the other day, when we all talked on Messenger, you know, I've never felt any dread anytime I've gotten any Bigfoot type responses. But the other night, the last time I was out there at night, when I heard something walking toward us, and the responses we got were not Bigfoot in nature, there was dread. There was a feeling that whatever was walking toward us felt like it wanted to harm us. The big set of eyes, it was just absolutely different from when I've gotten my textbook Bigfoot evidence. So it's just truly amazing how this little town is just so run hot with so many encounters, so many cryptids, and even paranormal. Even paranormal, there's been people that have had paranormal encounters there in the town that's about 4 miles from it. Even there, that little town's a hot spot for paranormal activity. So it's just amazing, and I truly believe that town being built on an Indian burial ground has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So does anybody have any more questions they would like to ask? Fire away, y'all. Fire away. Mary Swampy put, "This is why New Orleans is so haunted. Our history of murder, pirates, and slavery." Absolutely. Absolutely. The Native American tribes would not come into what is now the French Quarter after nightfall. They said there was evil spirits. Yep. And that's still true to this day. There's a lot of people that get activity when they're in the French Quarter. And around, you know, well, everywhere in New Orleans, honestly. Any more questions, y'all? All right.
Well, there's no more questions. I'm going to get to bed.
All
Got
right.
a long day tomorrow, but I enjoyed it. I'm glad y'all were interested in hearing my encounters and my story.
All right, sis. I know it's your business. You're hopping and you got a lot of stuff to do. So we're not going to keep you any longer. And thank you for coming on. You know, this to me, even though we didn't have a lot of people jump in tonight, and it was kind of spur of the moment within a few hours, but man, to me it turned out completely awesome.
Yes, awesome. Thanks, Lisa. But you guys have a great night, brother.
All right, sis. Be careful tomorrow, and I will give you a shout tomorrow.
All right. Good night, y'all.
All right. Good night, sis. All right, y'all. What did y'all think about that? She told an encounter I didn't even know about. Wow, that's just totally awesome. I can't believe it. I'm so excited for that. That's just amazing. Amazing. So, before I comment next, I just want to give a shout out to Marvin. Marvin, I know you were listening. I know it wouldn't let you on here to comment, but we love you, brother. Without you, this live stream would not be possible. And you know, this team, Texas Encounter and Mysterious Sightings, is a division of Marvin Allen and the Doug Pack. Everyone, please go. The links are at the bottom. I got the links for Marvin's Facebook and for his YouTube channel. Also for my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. Subscribe to all of them, because you just heard the amazing content we get, and that's just within one town, y'all. One town. Wait till the domino effect kicks in and everybody starts coming forward. We're gonna have some amazing encounters to share, and I don't see us going anywhere but to the top. Marvin is just absolutely amazing with his contact. Please subscribe to his Facebook, his YouTube. He is the father channel to all this. Like I said, Teams is just a division, but we are his eyes and ears in Texas. And we are gonna put boots on the ground, because that's what we do. We go out into the woods and we investigate. We get, like the name says, encounters and mysterious sightings. That is what we do. I love being in the woods. That's like a second home to me. And like I've said before, I've gotten plenty of evidence on my property. It has changed my strategy, how I enter and exit the woods, but it will not keep me from going in there and getting the evidence that I want to get. So, with that, I think maybe it may be time for an encounter, y'all. What do y'all think? Do y'all want an encounter? If y'all want an encounter, give me some ones. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the drill. It's the same platform as the alpha. If y'all want an encounter, give me some ones. Come on, y'all. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're going to do it to make our alpha proud, y'all. Come on, y'all. I need some more ones. Give me some more ones. I want to see those ones. I was going to upload this encounter as an episode, and I may still do, but this may be a good episode to tell for our first live stream. Give me some ones, y'all. Give me some ones. I know Lisa's itching to hear this encounter. Alright, y'all. I think Lisa posted enough ones for everybody. Dude from Texas, where's your ones, man? I got an encounter. Where's your ones? I'm trying to get dude to post ones. Alright, y'all. So, of course, this hard word that I cannot pronounce, but I'm going to try. Anonymity, there we go, is our primary concern. I am not going to use the real name of this individual. So we're going to call him Robert. And so, let's go ahead and get this last party started. So this encounter comes from a town 4 miles from where my current property is. Okay, and this is a little bit bigger town. There's a four-way on an FM road, which is very frequently traveled. And of course, it's a farm to market road. There is, back then there was only 2 stores in that, or 3 stores in that town, I'm sorry. And now it's prospered. There's more stores. There's, a supermarket, and there's quite a few people living in this little town. So this encounter comes from this gentleman named Robert, who happened to be a personal friend of my dad and my uncle. So, this gentleman lived in that town, and this gentleman loved to drink. On occasion was, and I'm not going to say what, but for the sake, did stuff recreationally. And he come to my dad and my uncle one day. He showed up. They were in that town at the store, and he showed up, and he looked pale, clammy, and he looked like he was freaking out. And this was evening time. So he came up to my uncle and my dad just out of sorts, saying gibberish phrases, and they asked him, "Robert, man, hey, you all right, dude? What's going on? What's the matter, man? You don't even look right." And he told them, "Man, I just seen something. I don't know what to think. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die." And they're like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" So he proceeds to tell them, "I was asleep and I woke up and I seen a figure standing in my bedroom at the end of my bed." They're like, "Okay, who was it? Was it your son? Was it your wife?" "No, it wasn't human." Like, what do you mean it wasn't human? No, it had to be your wife or your son. Dude, you all right? You been drinking? Man, I always drink, but I mean, I had a few before I went to bed, but I mean, I wasn't drunk. You're like, "Well, what did you see?" Y'all, these were his exact words. "I seen the devil." Now, my dad and my uncle give him a look like, "There's no way. There's no way, man. You must have been dreaming. You had to have been dreaming. Robert, you just, man, maybe you just need to go home and go to bed." He goes, "I don't think I want to step foot into my house." Well, I mean, there's got to be an explanation for this. It's got to be your son or your wife. And he told them there wasn't nobody home. "Are you sure?" "Yeah, there wasn't nobody home. I was the only one there." "Okay. Well, what happened?" Of course, everybody's going to ask what happened. "So what happened, Robert?" "I woke up and I seen this figure and it was black. It looked like some sort of like had the body of like a lizard, but it had a head I couldn't describe, and it had horns. Okay, but that's not the scary part. It had red eyes, and it talked to me. Well, what did it say? What did it say, Robert? I mean, you, just talk to us, man. You're not looking right. You just talk to us, man. We're you know, if we have to take you home, we'll take you home. What did it tell you? It told me in life I was never gonna amount to anything. And it told me not only that I was gonna die, but how I was gonna die. And it told me when I died that it would come for me. So at this point, y'all, my dad and my uncle didn't know what to think. They're like, there's got to be an explanation for this. So his words, he told them that this creature told him he was going to have a tumor in his brain, and that he was going to quickly deteriorate and die. So a few years later, my dad and my uncle ran into Robert. He had just come back from the hospital. And he told them that this creature was right. I have an inoperable brain tumor, and they've only given me a few months to live. And sadly, y'all, within 6 months, he passed on. Truly, truly terrifying. And that was his encounter, y'all. Paranormal in nature, but that was his encounter. I was told this story as a kid from my dad, and I didn't believe it. So what I'm going to say next, this story, this encounter was published in a book. In a book, y'all. You can read about it. A true encounter. This happened. People do see these things. There are things out there we cannot explain, but they are out there. And I'm going to leave this encounter with y'all. I was going to upload this as an episode today, and I decided not to. And I'm glad I saved this for y'all. Although it was not cryptid related, more paranormal, truly, truly terrifying. So with that, smash that subscribe button, y'all. The links are down below. Subscribe to Marvin's YouTube page. Very, very phenomenal page. Marvin is the absolute best. We're just trying to get off the ground with the Texas division. Go to our page, our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and share. Do the same with Marvin. And with that, y'all, we're going to end this live stream. Thank you so much for everyone coming out and supporting us tonight. Lisa, dude from Texas, I love y'all. Without y'all and Marvin, this could not have happened. We did it on short notice, and I in my heart, I believe this was a successful live stream. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I will put up a schedule for when we have this live stream. It'll probably be only once a week. As y'all know, I do work a rotating schedule, so it can't be on the same day every week. It will never be on a Wednesday and Saturday because that's when our Father channel is on, and I will never ever intrude on those times. That is for our Alpha Marvin. Those are his days. But I will set out a schedule a week ahead of time to let everyone know when this live stream will happen. And it'll be on the same platform on YouTube where we can moderate it. And we're going to keep everything cryptid, paranormal. We're not going to have no negativity. We're all about positivity. And with that, y'all, I thank you. And this is Lieutenant signing off.